last adventure, we concluded with having successfully returned to prison.
And then got released because the charges were dropped.
Yes, that's right. We got released. So, and that just goes to show that you should trust the town guard, comply with even their most obviously unjust of demands, and the system will work.
As long as you break out and provide your own evidence.
Get the Oblin involved is the basic gist of this all. Unless you're actually guilty, in which case don't get the Oblin involved. So anyway.
That's actually probably a pretty good piece of advice in general. When there's an injustice, just get the Oblin involved, they'll smooth it over.
Yep. Yeah, so... Cricket actually got quite impressed, that amongst the barbarians there were, some actually straight-laced folks who followed the rules and stuff. But anyway, so what did we do first after we got out? I'm trying to remember how this all went. We discussed briefly what our overall goal was, and it was still see if we could find that box.
I remember what you did. You went and asked around if anyone had heard anything about Stanley or General Miss Anderson, just frequented the various bars where the guards go.
And the goal of all this was to try and find that box, because it's starting to become a little bit stale, the trail, and it's like the best buy date of this whole box thing is a little bit past, but hey, maybe we can find it, maybe we can smooth things over a little bit.
Well, and seeing as currently, the punishment for losing that box is life imprisonment, if you can prove that you weren't malicious about it.
Yeah. If we stay here where they have jurisdiction,
So I have to ask, is it General Miss, like MS period Anderson, or is it MIS Anderson? Like
I think it's General Miss Anderson.
Okay. She has two honorifics.
No, the German style, you should add every honorific on top of each other.
Yeah.
Who does?
Germans.
Yeah.
It's a bit odd because all the mongrels just go by their one name and they're all like last names. So the males are all just like Anderson or Thompson, but the females are always Mrs. Anderson or Miss Anderson. And then if you make one a general, if you just General Anderson, it's not clear if she's male or female, so it has to be General Miss Anderson.
Why can't she just be General Anderson? What does it matter whether?
Because there's got to be like 80 General Anderson.
It's true. She could be General Anderson. The main reason that she's not is because I thought of that after I already called her General Miss Anderson.
If she was male, it would be General Mr. Anderson.
No, it's just General Anderson.
Oh.
Yeah, they only add Miss and Mrs. for females.
This pseudo-medieval society is sexist. Anyway.
But they're just.
If you get the fictional rock creatures who are inherently just involved, yes.
Well, and I mean, once the information was brought to the attention of the marshal or whatever, he immediately acted on it.
Whom I kept calling the warden. I kept calling the marshal the warden. I couldn't get that out of my head. Every time we referred to him, I called him the warden. It's because of the time I spent in the big house. I'm hardened now.
Change is a man.
Yeah.
Change is a whatever
Satyr.
you are.
Yeah. So it's deeply affected her. Anyway, our basic goal was see if we can find that box, and to find the box, we needed to find Stanley and or some clues as to what General Miss Anderson might have done with it, because she was the last person that actually had it. We gave it to her after we got out of the sewer.
Upon asking around, I think the information that you mainly got from the guards was a guy saying that it was like he was one of the guards who escorted Stanley to, because Stanley was called to be interrogated by the general.
But he was so sick, he was like paralyzed.
And he's like, I brought him here, and he was completely paralyzed. It took 6 of us to carry him. I got him here, and first off, it's weird. The general can't just, the generals don't generally have the right to just interrogate random prisoners, and so that was weird. And then after interrogating him, they got word that part of the thing is he got better now. He's not paralyzed, so so all the other guards were sent home. And he was sent home. He was guarded back to the prison by the intern Jenkins, this guard was just like, why? They
sent one
guard, the intern, And then, surprise, surprise, Stanley escapes. And he's like, I think there was something going on with all this.
So the doppelganger turned into the other guy now, and the real Miss Anderson got killed.
We sorted some of this out later on. We started to figure it out. I'm not sure the doppelgangers were involved, and of course, I don't think the characters really know a whole lot about doppelgangers anyway. So
there was definitely something suspicious. So
something weird's going
Stanley was taken to see the general. Then he was escorted home with one guard, where he escaped.
Yeah. We went,
and Jenkins was suspended with pay for 2 weeks.
So we went to go and talk with Jenkins. And we got the address, his home address, from the guard, because apparently they'll just give the home address of their own members out to.
They were very
recently released prisoners.
They were very unwilling. I was like, "You're never going to do that." And then Aurora's like, "Oh, I'll just charm him." 40 on a diplomacy roll.
Yeah.
And he's like, "We don't normally give out the address of our members."
You're so adorable.
Okay.
Yeah. So we went to the address and knocked on the door, and this guy comes to the door.
Big shifter guy.
Yeah, and he's all like, "What do you want?" I'm grumpy for some reason.
We're in the middle of having supper. I don't want whatever you're selling.
Yeah, it's like, we're not selling anything. We just like to talk with Jenkins. And he's like, "Who?" And he's like, "There's no Jenkins here. It never has been. I've always lived here, etc., etc." And so we immediately, or rather Cricket immediately, I don't know if the others were all following this chain of logic, she started getting really concerned that perhaps Jenkins had been erased from history. You know, the first step of logic is not, they gave us the wrong address. No, it's like, this was the right address, but he got erased from history. It's happened before. We've had this happen to us before, where we went to talk with someone, and when we got there, they've never existed.
Such a pain.
Yes. So after that, I think we went to go to General Miss Anderson's house.
Yeah.
Yes.
By this time, it was after supper.
Yeah.
So it was like 8:30 when they got there.
Yeah.
And General Miss Anderson's house had guards posted around it. Actually, it was military posted around it. It doesn't really matter. And there was a guard standing at the front door.
And so we sweet talked him.
Yeah, they're like, can we go in and look around? He's like, no, it's a crime scene. We're investigating it.
Please.
All right. They actually made some good points. They're like, don't you know, we're the ones who were falsely accused here by her. And he's like, oh, yeah. We're the ones who saved the city from the giant crab. And he's like, oh, yeah. And, and eventually he's like, yeah, okay. Just don't let anyone know I let you in, because I'll get in trouble, okay?
Yeah.
Just don't mess with anything. It's not really going to hurt anything. It's like they've already investigated a bunch.
So really, we shouldn't be mentioning this in the recording. They're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
If they listen to this. Anyway.
It's funny because I think the players thought it was sort of like a plot blocking the house, like you can't get into her house, but the guard's like, whatever. I mean, yeah, we're not supposed to let you in, but it's not going to hurt anything.
We're breaking all the rules today.
Yeah. No, I didn't really think it was plot blocking. I just find it amusing how we're talking our way into all these things that really we shouldn't be able to. But
you guys, this whole like figuring anything out was beyond my expectations.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't been throwing you any bones. You've had to work for it all.
So we get into the house and we start having a look around. And we're trying to be careful not to disturb anything, because we're not supposed to be in here. We don't want to leave any evidence that we were in here. And we go and check out General Miss Anderson's bedroom.
Well, they checked out everywhere.
Well, yeah,
and that was what sort of check led them to.
This is where interesting things were.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. So we find some evidence. There are like these chalk circles that have been made on nicks in the walls and stuff, and scorch marks and stuff, indicating that there's been a fight in here. And there's these chalk circles around all these things. So we're like, we should tell the guard about these chalk circles. It's very suspicious. No, we knew that they'd noticed them and made the circles.
Yeah, they were impressed that the NPC guards were actually competent and investigated this case.
Yeah, it's very unusual. There's people in authority who are reasonable, and there's guards that are actually investigating things, and the only major flaw in their approach is they're letting random yahoos into houses just by sweet talking them. So yeah, we're ruining their record. So anyway, we oh yeah, is this? Yes,
That was when Serendipity tried object reading.
Van Goldstrider, and Malore do object reading on the bedpost. And
because there was a nick from
a fight. And so she asked the bedpost, "Show me when you got a notch put in you." And so yeah, apparently no one else at the session knew what putting a notch in a bedpost is a euphemism for. I objected to the wording of that, but everyone else was like, "What? There's a perfectly innocent wording. What are you talking about?" All right, well,
just spell understand euphemisms.
Yeah. So
the spell is not a malicious genie, so
yeah.
Okay, second question: why not?
So this non-malicious genie spell immediately nukes Serendipity's brain and makes her start flickering out of existence, and she's all like, "Blah!" like that. It totally blows up in her face. So yeah, something really weird just happened.
Wait, she actually starts flickering in?
Yeah,
she disappeared for like a minute and then started flickering back.
Yeah.
The party was, of course, freaking out while she was gone.
Yeah, because this has happened to us before when, we got partially nuked out of existence.
Yeah, when they were in Milberg.
Yeah.
And it was a very similar effect, but much weaker
to
what had happened to them when they were in that house that ceased to exist.
Yeah. I mean, Cricket, got really messed up for a while there. So clearly,
and by the end, even once Serendipity recovered, she was mostly there, but every minute or so she'd sort of flicker as if she was disappearing.
Yeah.
So that gleaned them no information?
They got no information. They just Serendipity just got badness.
So something timey-wimey happened when that notch was put in the
She made an Arcana check and discovered that clearly there's something specifically preventing her, intentionally preventing her from finding out the information, but she didn't know enough to know the parameters of it.
Yeah.
So she's like, something about this check made this happen, but I don't know how to get around it.
Yeah.
So,
but she did. I'm blanking a bit. We did get some information out of the.
That was a different object reading.
Oh.
That was later.
Oh right, yes. We should. It was the thing we should have thought of ages ago, but okay.
That was
so
later.
we'll get to that. Okay. So anyway, she couldn't object read the bedpost. So after that, we went to go and talk with the warden. I think next, not the warden, the marshal. I'm still doing it. Is that where we went next?
Next. Yeah.
Well, also it was night, so we went to sleep.
You slept, and the next morning I think you went to see. Yes, because the marshal had been put in the hospital because they found out some information that because they'd been asking about because especially Croesus / Tim was concerned that that General Miss Anderson had turned into black goo, just like that time maids that they killed.
Yes.
And so
we were trying to find her corpse and asking people, is she turned into black goo?
It was funny. Oh no! Before you went to see the marshal, I think that's when you went to see Jane, the investigator,
the actual investigator who's supposed to be working on this, not us.
Yeah, that was who we went to first.
Right.
And the party told a whole bunch of information to her, and she told them more or less what they knew.
We initially were trying to hold some stuff back, but Croesus was an unstoppable force of nature. He just started rambling about all the stuff.
At some point, Serendipity was like, "We should cast someone said we should cast object reading on something," and she's like, "Whoa, careful! We had one of our mages cast object reading in General Miss Anderson's bedroom and put him in the hospital. So whatever you do, don't cast object reading on stuff without checking it out."
Good for warning us. Thank you. Yeah.
But actually, I remember Croesus asked, "Did she turn into black goo?" And he was like, "Well, that's kind of a bit of an offensive way to put it." But I guess the room caught on fire during the battle, and so. The only one who survived, so she went in there with 3 loyal army members, fought the marshal, the room caught on fire, they were all killed, the marshal came out badly burned but barely alive, and they are all in there dead, and so there's just, and they asked, did you identify the body, and it's like, well, there's 1 badly burnt female body and 3 badly burnt male bodies, so, yeah.
Yep.
But...
So all the bodies still existed and were accounted for. Not black goo. That didn't stop Croesus from continuing to follow this
I think it was
train of
around
logic,
this time that like Croesus decided. Well, I don't know if this was the time.
I know Crick was a little worried
Croesus
that perhaps...
was getting really suspicious of the marshal.
Yeah, we thought perhaps, or I thought, and so did Croesus, that perhaps General Sanderson had actually won the fight and had taken the marshal's place. Because she's already apparently done that with General Sanderson, whoever this entity is. So we were a little concerned. And so Croesus decided the best approach would be to cut off a piece of the marshal and see if it turns into black goo.
The
marshal.
They started to get really suspicious of everything. It's like, has anyone been alone? Hank was alone with the general. Hank, cut off a piece of your hair. Cuts it off and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as that would work. But yeah, Croesus, around this time, I think, was when Croesus became convinced that the best course of action was to kill the marshal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Becoming actual criminals.
Yeah. No, because then the marshal would turn into black goo and it would prove that he'd been replaced, and so that would solve everything.
Yeah.
So we were a little bit paranoid about that, but not super paranoid because you gotta trust something in this world. So we decided to go have a talk with the marshal and not kill him.
I think that was actually. I think you did object reading on the staff before that, though.
Yeah,
while you were still at James' office.
That's right. Yes, we were in James' office, and so we pulled out the broken staff that General Miss Anderson had wielded against Hank, and we did object reading on the staff. And Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malora got an awesome check. She got to ask 5 questions of this thing. And so we asked to see the last time the bearer of this staff killed someone. Yeah. And so we got to see what happened in the bedroom. And it was really weird. There was initially there was
General Miss Anderson was standing up like this. She was standing outside the bed, holding the staff in her hand, going. And there was some woman who they didn't recognize at all, cowering in front of her.
Yeah.
And that was the image.
But there was something weird about the image.
Serendipity made a perception check and discovered that there was some sort of strange effect on the image, that it looked like the equivalent of being photoshopped. It looked like General Miss Anderson was photoshopped in, and the woman was photoshopped in.
Yeah.
So it was not.
So we
quite correct.
Yeah, we burned through the 5 questions that she got, viewing that scene over and over again, trying to get through this.
Yeah, now that she knew that, every time she could try and make a really hard Arcana check to see if she could
get through the interference or something.
The rest is coming up, right?
Yeah. And
I think that, in fact, I think that's all we looked at. No, there was one other thing afterwards, but we spent like the first 4 questions on this thing.
I'm trying to remember, there was one first though, because there was that question, then a failure, then Aurora tried her thing where she can predict the future, so she knows what rolls are coming up, and so she knew there was an 18, a 12, and a 20 coming up. Yeah. Although the 18 and 12 were going to be the last 2. Yeah. But there was a question that was asked first. There was, maybe it's not important. I don't think it's.
Yeah. I just remember there's basically 2 things. We got through the photoshopping, and then we got the last one was
when you entered the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only ones I remember. Maybe there was them all. They were all burnt on that.
Yeah, I think
trying to get through the photoshopping.
Yeah, I think that's all that we managed. So when we finally managed to, after repeated attempts, get through the photoshopping.
So they saw the real image. Eventually, it was a hard check
with the 20s. And
she had to get 18 on the die to make it.
Care for a giant carrot?
I would love a giant carrot, actually.
That's an impressive carrot. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
you're the only one without food, and I'm sitting here eating a delicious carrot, and you're just staring at the carrot.
I'm trying to remember the exact details of what we saw. It was
I can describe it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I bet you like carrot.
So the real image was one of the guys clearly dressed like a time mage, standing in that same pose, going like this, but his mouth is open super wide. And General Miss Anderson is the cowering woman cowering on the ground, and she's being sort of sucked in, like by a warp effect, into the mouth of the Time Mage.
That's
like,
a preview.
Yeah.
He ate her.
So that was what really happened.
Yep.
I'm sure I'll be
So yeah, that was fairly freaky.
run-of-the-mill stuff.
Yeah.
No,
No.
no, but that was
Run of the mill, like Milberg.
Milberg, yep.
that was the key moment.
So we went to go and talk with the the marshal.
Actually, and the other question they asked was, you
Oh,
come
yes,
to
that's right,
the city, and the only thing that was notable about that is it showed it showed like some old man walking on that staff as a walking stick, and the only thing that was notable is it was in the there was like it's at the gate, so there's tons of people milling around, but they noticed Jenkins in the background, Jenkins the guard. So.
So then we went to go and talk with the marshal, who had had an extended rest, so he was back up to 100%. And we went to his office. I don't recall. I don't think we had any big trouble getting an appointment with him. He was a little bit
He was a
like,
bit
yeah,
hesitant,
but we were like, hey, we're like totally the guys you want to talk to right now.
Well, he said we have some. They said we have some information about General Miss Anderson and whatnot. So he let them in and he was like, yeah, you have some information for me here. And it kind of turned out that they really didn't, because that was like the nature of the whole interaction was, them like asking him questions and talking to him and him getting more and more like, so you said you got some information for me.
Well, I think we did actually have some information for him. I mean, this whole Time Mage thing is something he didn't know about.
I don't think you told him that though. I thought you were trying to keep that close.
We were, but Croesus just wouldn't shut up.
Yeah.
Croesus kept rambling on and on.
He was very thankful of the party because when they found out they broke the general's staff, he was like, I barely survived, and that probably is what made the difference between life and death.
No, I've got another whole thing of celery here. Take both.
So we did tell him somewhat inadvertently, if not, these are time wizards and stuff. At least we told him that there was this group of wizards that had been destroying towns, because that was important.
Yes.
That they had destroyed Milberg. I can't remember exactly. I think we did sort of tell him that they destroyed Milberg 40 years ago, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
or something like that. It was a little bit confused, but that was mostly because of Croesus being confusing. And so we were able to sort of pass that off as like, yeah, Croesus is a little bit broken, please don't mind him.
In the end, they just had this kind of mostly pointless interaction with the marshal.
Well, no, it was not, because we totally told him about, there's these wizards destroying towns, because that became important. Because the marshal had a quest hook for us.
No. Yeah, later.
Yeah.
But at the end, Croesus decided Croesus still thinks the marshal.
He still thinks we should kill the marshal.
And so he says, it sure was a good thing that Hank broke that really expensive staff, right? And he looks him right in the eye in this really obvious way, and the marshal is like, yes, that probably saved my life. Thank you.
And he was checking to see if he reacted like, this is the wizard whose staff we broke. Is he upset about that? And he did twitch, but there was much debate over what that twitch meant.
No one really saw him twitch except Serendipity, who had the leftover 20 from Aurora's predictive rolling, and she noticed him twitch in a suspicious way and then immediately cover it, and no one else noticed anything.
No.
So.
And I don't know. I guess she didn't tell us then.
No, she did.
She did? Oh, okay.
But no one believed her because everyone saw was just a twitch, right? Or no one even saw the twitch, right? It's like she's like, oh yeah, he was totally suspicious, and everyone's like, you're overreacting because they didn't see anything.
And in any event, it's just a twitch. I mean, maybe he wanted it himself. I don't know.
Maybe he's like, he really is thankful.
Yeah. Maybe he's twitched because he didn't like being beholden. Yeah.
And knew what could happen.
So anyway, I'm sure nothing will come of this. It's a minor detail that will have no relevance in the long run, I'm sure. So, it wasn't right away that we were told about the towns, right? The other towns?
It was the next morning you went to see Jane again.
Yeah, the person who's actually investigating. She actually seems to be investigating, so hey, let's keep in contact with her.
They're, of course, still quite suspicious of the marshal because he didn't allay their suspicions at all, but, I mean, he didn't really do anything.
No. So, did Croesus tell her about the time mages as well? Or
I think so.
Yeah.
And she was like, at first he told her the first time. And then the second time she's like, well, I don't really believe you, but I wouldn't have believed this whole, like, transforming and eating the general thing before yesterday either, so who knows? Maybe you're not insane. And she said they'd gone to her and said don't be alone with the marshal, and et cetera, be super careful. And so she was, but she did go to meet the marshal with some guards or whatever. And he had said, currently there's rumors that have been coming into town that several small thorps and villages southeast of Greybridge have been burnt to the ground and everyone slaughtered. And he was saying that they had encountered people, these people who had killed a town. Maybe they're related. They're sending out a contingent to go check it out. We'd like to hire you to go in and check it out with them because you would know how to find signs of these time mages or whatever. So that was his quest for them. Yeah. But even Jane was suspicious of this sudden, like, let's get them out of town thing. But there was some debate over whether they should take this or not.
Getting out of town seems like a good idea. If we're not going to find that box, we're going to have to start making plans for how the party is going to go to the Empire of Endless Flowers and never come back here again.
But ultimately, they decided to stay because they want to still investigate and find out where the box is.
I actually couldn't remember what we'd ultimately decided.
You decided to stay and investigate.
Yeah.
They also found no clues about the box in the general's house or really anywhere.
I remember Cricket was kind of urging that we should go and investigate those towns, but other people were like, no, we should stay. So Cricket was like, we should stay.
Yeah, it was pretty divided, 2 to 3.
Yeah.
3 wanted to stay.
So
Really, 1 to 3.
No, I think it was 2 to 3, and then after that, Cricket flipped over to the majority.
But Cricket doesn't count.
Well, and Serendipity doesn't technically get a vote either.
Yeah. Time mages. Why did it have to be time mages? With them in the picture, maybe we didn't kill the Butcher of Brackenridge after all. Maybe we never got that box. There's upsides to having time mages involved in this. Maybe things will work out. We'll have to see how that goes.
Where's the freaking box?
We've confirmed that this is indeed an imposter situation. And these imposters happen to be time mages. We can't get rid of these guys. Are they directly after us? Do they want this box we're dealing with? That's a complete fiasco. I don't know. I don't know. It's really frustrating.
I've been trying really hard to remember who's who and what is what, because everything keeps changing shape and people keep being different people, and this is just a really confusing dream, and we should kill the marshal and be done with it.
Dear Diary, well, Cricket still doesn't think she's a person, and I really don't know how to convince her. Honestly, every night when I fall asleep, this is the thing I'm thinking about. If only I was smarter, I'm sure I could figure out a way to explain what it means to be a person and that she is one. She is that. But I don't know how, and I don't know what I can do. Maybe it's okay that she doesn't think she's one. I don't know. It just makes me feel unsettled and like she's missing part of her potential as a person by not believing she's one. Anyway. Oh, also those horrible mage things are here and they're eating people's faces and I don't know, it's awful. I can't make sense of that either. I sure hope they don't get Cricket. Things will look brighter in the morning.
Okay, object reading. Okay, bedpost.